Welcome to this week's episode of We Got You Covered on RVN TV. My name's Rob Shestack, and I'm your host every week, talking all things insurance, employee benefits related. And this week we have with us a good old friend. We don't want to use the word old, right? Len Feltoon. And a little bit of background on Len that I like to do. He has his undergraduate degree in accounting from George Washington University, his law degree from Ohio Northern University. He is the founder and president of Countrywide Prepaid Legal Services, and it's been around for over 30 years, located right here in Cherry Hill. And in case you haven't guessed it, today we're going to be talking about legal insurance and legal prepaid legal plans. But before we begin, I always like to share some statistics with the viewers. And CNN Money reported that over 65% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. CNBC reported that 76% of people live paycheck to paycheck. So this is leading towards financial wellness and the healthiness of people financially. 59% of people spend more than they earn per paycheck. And just a simple will preparation could cost $1,000 or more, which exceeds what people have in savings. So if they want a simple will, they have children, or any other type of legal services, it could wipe out their savings. They may not even have the savings for it.
True.
So with that said, Lynn, what exactly is legal insurance?
Well, legal insurance or prepaid legal services is similar to a dental plan or a health plan, where people go to a network doctor or a network dentist to get services. Well, in a legal insurance program, we provide legal services, and they go to network attorneys to perform the legal services, and it brings down the cost of legal services to the public.
So an example would be, are there free services involved?
So for the premium per month that an employee would pay, there's a number of defined benefits or services or legal services that the employee would receive on an ongoing basis without being billed each time that they utilize the services in the plan.
So it's almost like a Costco membership for legal services, where I'll get some things for free, possibly, but then other things would be discounted, so I wouldn't have to pay the full amount.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it a Costco. I like to analogize it in the employee benefit world of health insurance, dental insurance, legal insurance.
Legal insurance.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good way of putting it. So how does legal plans help companies, employers today?
So knowing that employees have legal issues and they are in the workplace, employers are dealing with legal issues, but they don't have the means to access legal services. So many times they don't do anything about the problem, and then it becomes an issue for them on the job. So when a company can have the ability to offer a legal services plan, and it can be totally a voluntary basis where the employee pays the full premium and the employer pays nothing, the employee can have access to legal services by paying a small payroll deduction, and in return receive a number of legal services to solve their problems.
So give me an idea of some of the things that would be included in that monthly premium.
So the ability, what do attorneys do? They give advice, correct? So they have the ability to pick up the phone and get advice from an attorney in the area law they have a problem in. They can talk to a lawyer about perhaps a real estate issue, a matrimonial issue, a bankruptcy issue, a traffic matter, a consumer matter. They can get a will done. And they can get a living will done as well, which is a really valuable benefit for a lot of people, because a lot of people have thought about getting a will done, but they haven't actually implemented or got it done because of the cost factor involved. Well, that's one of our free benefits in the plan. Many times people sign documents without understanding exactly what they signed, whether it be buying a car, leasing a car, renting an apartment, having a student at a school renting an apartment, and that student is signing that lease. We can review that to protect them before they sign it, and that's a lot of times people don't hire an attorney to do so because of the expense involved.
Now, what type of, would things like criminal legal services could be involved, like say DUI, or an employee did something that they shouldn't?
So yeah, I mean, DUIs can be included in the benefit and are. It's just that it's not a free benefit. So in our situation, if they need representation in a traffic matter, they would be represented by an attorney in our network at a reduced rate. So they would pay the attorney directly, that we've negotiated preferred rate discounts for those members, but they would pay directly, and they're saving money in that situation.
So attorneys could cost $300, $400, $500 an hour. What type of discount would they get? Would it be instead of 500, they pay 400, or is it something more substantial than that?
Basically, in our plan, they're getting a 25% preferred rate discount, and we know what the rates are of our providers and what it is to our members. So there's a guaranteed reduced rate at a minimum 25% discounted rate.
Off of that specific law firm's rate?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And they already know what that is before they engage with that lawyer?
And they do, and each law firm is under contract with Countrywide to perform those services at those reduced rates, and we know what all those rates are prior to giving the information to the member, so they'll know exactly what the discount is.
So you talked about network attorneys, so I just can't go to my lawyer that I've known forever, or I get somebody in Yellow Pages. I'd have to go to somebody that is in your network of lawyers.
That's right. So we credential all the lawyers, and that's one of the great things about what we do is that we go through a whole credentialing process with each law firm in our network, from the years of experience to they all must carry malpractice insurance. We train the law firms. We know what state they're barred in, if they had any disciplinary issues. All of that goes into our credentialing process. So when the members are talking to our lawyers, they're talking to seasoned, well-experienced, trained lawyers, and they're getting a really great value with a lawyer that they normally would contact, but at a reduced rate or through a plan.
And yourself being a lawyer, you know what that credentialing process should look like. So it's not like you are an entrepreneur, you really don't know what the liability coverages they should have, or if they have any disciplinary action. You actually know this because you are a lawyer by trade.
That's true, and we have processes and procedures in Countrywide that allows us to go through all those steps to make sure that the lawyers are following what our guidelines are, including what you just mentioned.
How many lawyers do you have in your network?
Right now, we have over 4,300 providers across the country in all 50 states. We're countrywide.
Well, hence Countrywide, prepaid.
Right.
So how do you go about getting new lawyers? Do they call you? Do you reach out to them?
So nowadays, lawyers reach out to us in reference to become part of the network. Things are very competitive in legal practices, and so lawyers contact us to become part of our network. But also, from time to time, based upon geographic regions or demographics, based upon where our groups are, we'll reach out to additional law firms to see if they want to become part of the network. And we bring we bring new clients to law firms, and that helps them as well.
So why would a lawyer? So of this monthly premium, can you give me an idea of like what that would be, like a range? I know it's probably different based on size of employer groups and so forth.
But roughly it could be anywhere from $7 to $15 a month. So it's quite affordable for an entire family. That only includes the employee, but the spouse and dependents up to the age of 26. So the entire family is covered for that monthly premium.
And let's just say $15, I'm sure that's going to be the higher end plan. Does the lawyer get any of that, or that's a fee that they pay to have access to your network and to your services?
So our model is based upon different situations, and so it's proprietary in reference to how we do things. But
okay.
There is compensation for the lawyers as well.
Okay, so I sign up. I pick a lawyer, like I would pick my primary care physician.
True.
So I pick my attorney, and then the attorney does have. He has an advantage, or he has an incentive to do certain things for me for free.
Yeah, they're going to do certain services for you, and if you do a good job if the law firm does a great job for you, you're going to go back to that lawyer each time, and you're going to build a client relationship with that law firm. But what's really great about our plan is that we match up the appropriate legal issue with the appropriate law firm. So if you pick a lawyer and it's a small firm and they only do perhaps estate planning, well, they're only going to be dealing with your estate planning. But 2 months later, you have an issue in real estate, you're going to call Countrywide up, and we're going to refer you to a different law firm based upon who practices that area of the law. Now, again, certain law firms do have multiple practices in the areas of law, and they can handle the multiple practices within the same law firm.
So I have an issue, real estate issue, or a criminal issue, or a contract issue. I can call up Countrywide, and your team would say, tell me a little bit about what your issue is, and then you would match me up with a law firm that specializes in what my specific need is.
That's exactly right. And take it a step further. Let's say you're traveling on vacation and you run into a traffic matter, which is a common situation, and you're out in California and you need an attorney out there. You call Countrywide up and we'll refer you to somebody local who can handle that traffic matter for you. So you're covered across the country if you do have legal issues that are beyond where you live or where you work.
So it's almost like a legal concierge type service. Well, you're not providing legal advice, but you're providing advice on who I should reach out to based on what my legal need is.
Well, Countrywide
getting me to a specialist.
Well, Countrywide is the plan and the plan administrator, and we refer them to the actual lawyer to perform that service.
Now, do I get priority, say, I call the lawyer's office, oh, we can't see you for a month, depending on what the issue is. Is there, if I'm with Countrywide, do I get a little bit of a bump and maybe they'll see me in 2 weeks?
Well, that's not going to happen. What your scenario just said, it's never going to happen with Countrywide, I'll tell you that, number one. But number two, the lawyer must call back, if the member calls in and at the time that lawyer that they need to speak to is not there, our policy is they must call back within 1 business day.
Wow.
Absolutely. They need to be serviced. If you have a legal issue, you need to talk to the lawyer, and within 1 business day, you will be called back.
Wow, pretty good. So I call up, the lawyer doesn't call me back, I call your offices, and they'll either get me to another lawyer, but then in the meantime, you're calling that lawyer's office and saying, hey, you're not living up to your contract that you have with Countrywide.
Correct, if that happens. It doesn't happen very often, but in fact, that's exactly right.
So, and when we're going to go to a break in a minute, and when we come back, I want to talk about how this really helps employees from a financial wellness, absenteeism and presenteeism situation. So we're going to talk about that in a little more detail, but if you look at employers and wellness, you're considering this a wellness type program. So employers will do health wellness, right? Weight loss programs, smoking cessation programs. They'll do mental wellness, good working conditions, things like that. But this is like financial wellness, right? Because now the employee says, I can't afford a lawyer. I got to take care of this legal matter myself, so I'm absent from work. But your plan would say, hey, you go to work and let the professionals take care of it because it's not going to cost you as much, and maybe it could be a free service that you provide.
That's exactly right. Wellness is a big situation in the employee benefit space right now. And not only the health wellness, but like you mentioned, the financial wellness and the stress that's involved with when you have financial issues or legal issues, and the stress that you could lead to medical issues. So it's becoming a very big and popular benefit in the workplace today.
Wonderful. Well, that takes us to our break, Len. We'll be right back on RVN TV on We Got You Covered with Len Feltoon talking about legal, insurance, and employee benefit programs.
Shelter dogs aren't broken. They've simply experienced more life. If they were human, we would call them wise. They would be the ones with tales to tell and stories to write. The ones dealt a bad hand who responded with courage. Do not pity a shelter dog. Adopt one.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
Add us on social media to watch bloopers, behind the scenes footage, previews, and more.
On RVN TV. We're here with Len Feltoon talking about legal insurance. And Len, right before the break, we were talking about employee wellness, right? That's a big buzzword in benefits. And wellness can mean a bunch of different connotations. It can mean physical wellness, working out and gym memberships. But the other one is not just financial wellness, but mental wellness. So here's a situation, you have an employee, he's having an issue with their neighbor, they're going back and forth, there's police involved, there's legal issues involved. Instead of them having to figure it out themselves, one, it's going to be costly hiring a lawyer.
Right.
But now, not only can they get that at a discount, and there's some things that would be for free, like say living wills and so forth, but now they can go to work, be productive for that employer, and let the professionals deal with what they have to deal with, and they can go to work, make sure that they, they're doing the right job for the employer. So when we were going over questions, one of the things that you brought up, which was very interesting, was in-house corporate counsel for companies, which they all pretty much have them. They're recommending that companies offer these legal plans to their employees. Why is that?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that. We're getting called from a lot of corporate counsel because what they're telling us is that employees are going to in-house corporate counsel with their legal issues. And in-house corporate counsel is not in the position to handle the personal legal issues of an employee. So they really can't really help them with their situation, and they don't have any means to provide for them. So they're suggesting perhaps to HR, to human resources, to the company to offer a legal plan. And so we've gotten many clients from corporate counsel to say, okay, come in and implement a legal plan to help my employees with their personal legal issues, which is a benefit for the company. It doesn't have to cost the company anything, but also you have a productive employee and therefore decreases presenteeism and decreases absenteeism as well. So it's a win-win for everybody, and you get a productive, hopefully stress-free employee.
So you mentioned earlier, let's just say the $15 a month plan, that's $180 a year.
Correct.
A will could cost $1,000.
Right.
Even probably a simple will's $500, $600. You use that service once a year for even just the free things, and the lawyer knows eventually you're going to need something a little more complicated, and they're going to be there to help you. It pays for itself.
Absolutely, and that's a big value proposition when offering a legal benefit plan as opposed to other different benefits that are out there. That yes, if you use it just once out of the whole year, it pays for itself. We find employees enroll for various reasons. One is that at the time that you roll it out, they have an immediate legal need. Two, they've had experience in the past of how expensive lawyers are. Or three, they know that I don't have a legal issue today, but I may have something in the future, and the insurance concept, and I'm going to protect myself. And that's why people enroll in our legal services plans.
What about, say, a pre-existing condition
There's
or
no
a pre-existing legal issue?
There's no pre-existing legal conditions. If the time of the enrollment happens and the employee has that pre-existing legal issue, it's okay. There's no pre-existing conditions.
Even if they were using another lawyer and now they want to use, say, a network lawyer?
Correct.
Interesting. That's pretty good. So let me ask you this question. What happens can the employer pay for this for all their employees?
Absolutely, the employer can pay for it, and it's a very cost-effective benefit, and companies do pay for it. But every company's different, and every company has a different budget, so they can pay for it, or alternatively, they can offer it on a voluntary basis, and there's no minimum group sizes, and there's no minimum participation requirements.
Wow, that's pretty good. So what happens if the employer puts this in and an employee either voluntarily signs up or they want to pay for it for all their employees? Is there certain restrictions that the employee cannot use a lawyer to, say, sue their employer?
Absolutely. Anything dealing with the employer or employee-related issues is excluded for obvious reasons.
Right.
So it's dealing with their personal and family matters, nothing to do with the employer-employee relationship.
And even, everybody says, oh, I'd love to be able to talk to an attorney for 15 minutes or a half an hour just to get some advice.
Right.
That call alone could be $200-$300.
Correct. That's exactly right. And that's why prepaid legal plans provide so much value to employees and to employers.
Pretty good. So are there any other exclusions from the plan? You said there was no pre-ex, which is good.
Right.
They can't use it to sue their employer or employee-related matters.
The other exclusions are patent, trademark, and copyright, because those attorneys are very expensive, and we don't have them in the network. So those are the exclusions, the additional exclusions in the plan.
Okay. Now, what happens if I have an attorney that I've used for a while, or let's just say it's an employer group here in Cherry Hill. They have 35, 40 employees, and they all talk at break, and they all use the same lawyer for whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But he's not in your network. If they said, hey, could you call Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so and see if they're interested in joining Countrywide? Is that something you would do?
Absolutely. Law firms are brought to us, good law firms are brought to us all the time, and we would absolutely reach out to that law firm. As long as they meet our credentialing processes and procedures, they can become part of the network.
Pretty good. Are there any maximum size groups that you would do?
We have groups below 50 all the way up to over 10,000. So there is no maximum and beyond. So if the opportunity presents itself and the client wants to work with us, we'll work with them.
Let's say you have an employer local here in New Jersey and they have a location in Indiana and you don't have a large network in Indiana. Would you help them build a lawyer network for their employees out in Indiana?
Yeah, so once we get the employee census from the data, we'll evaluate it, and if we find that we need to add additional lawyers, i.e. in Indiana, the area, we'll actively recruit additional providers.
Pretty good, pretty good. So if you were to, how long have these plans have really been around? I know you've been in business for 30 years, so have these been around for 30 years?
They've been around since the early, I think the 70s. It was a union benefit. It was a UAW benefit. That's how I knew about them. And they have grown and blossomed, and they're getting more and more popular as time goes on into the workplace. If the employer says, I want to pay for this for all my employees, would say the law firm come out on a quarterly basis and maybe just do like, say, a lunch and learn where they'll come out and they'll say, hey, our quarterly legal advice is update your will or update this or update that? Yeah, we'll provide that whether the employer pays for it or not. One of the services that we will do is lunch and learns on various legal topics, and we do that all the time for clients. So, i.e., the importance of a will is a topic that we've done over the years, and we'll get one of our providers to come out and do a 15-minute or 20-minute or a half-hour presentation or an hour, depending upon how long the client will allow us to have that. And it's great and gets the people engaged, and it answers their questions, and it's a really, really value added. And we take care of that cost. We don't charge the client for that at all. Wow, pretty good. Now, there's other services that you provide too, like identity theft protection. Yeah, we also offer identity theft protection, which is it's a very popular benefit in the marketplace today, as well as financial wellness services dealing with people's personal debt. We find that with personal debt, that sometimes an employee is not a candidate for bankruptcy, but they need financial counseling based upon their personal debt, and we have counselors who will actually walk them through and get them out of debt on a personal basis, and they don't have to file bankruptcy. So we've expanded our product line based upon the needs of our clients, and identity theft, financial wellness, and legal services are our three core products. Do they need to be purchased at the same time, or can they be purchased individually? They can be purchased separately, and they can be implemented throughout a course of a year or course of several years into a company. So if an employer comes to you today, January, and says, I'm interested in putting this in for my employees, how long does the implementation process take? On our side, it's quite quick. I mean, we could put it in within 15 to 30 days, and usually we're ready to rock and roll in reference to getting the information out, putting it out onto the system, and implementing it. So it's not a long process for us. Usually, it takes the employer longer to get it set up than it does for us. Wow. And you're not just talking to employers about this, you're talking to insurance agents and consultants about this, because they should be recommending this to their clients. Correct. So we have a huge broker consultant practice where consultants and brokers who service companies out there for their employee benefits come to us, and they want to implement it for their clients, and we work with them to implement our services for the clients and the employees. Yes. Do you do this for any associations? We do have some associations and trade associations that we do work with, and there's a common cause on that, and a lot of times it can be implemented as a membership benefit, so we can, based upon the size of the group, it can be a really valuable benefit included as part of the membership fee. For the association member. For the association member, correct. Pretty good. So if you are part of an association and you don't have access to a legal plan, then definitely want to reach out to Len, and we're going to provide your contact information at the end of the show. Okay. If there were
2 or 3 pieces of advice you would give to an employer on why they would want to put in a legal program. One, I think they should pay for it. I mean, health insurance is $600-700 a month for single coverage. You know, dental insurance is important. That's $40-50 a month. Here you're talking $7 to $15. It's fairly inexpensive to provide a wellness program for their employees. So what type of advice would you give employers today that are maybe on the fence about should I do it or shouldn't I do it?
Well, I think first of all, I would ask a human resources or company to say, hey, look at your payroll. Do you see any garnishments on there? Immediately, they'll probably say yes, and usually that means that there is some type of either debt issue and or child support issue, and we know that employees have those legal issues right there. Number 2, more than likely, employees are not coming to human resources about their legal issues because it's personal and they don't want to disclose that information. But if you look and read the information, you'll see statistically that people are dealing with legal issues in the workplace. Number 3, it brings a lot of value and it's a well-received benefit, whether it's employer paid or voluntary. And we have hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years, long-standing clients, and it's really something that they like, the employees like. They like the ease of payroll deduction as well, and it brings a lot of value as well as for bolstering and increasing the employee benefit package in recruitment.
Is there a certain period of time that they have to have the plan in? For example, if they want to contract with Countrywide, they have to keep it in for 3 years, or is this something they can say, we tried it for a year and it didn't work, or we tried it for a year and we'd like to do a longer term contract?
They can do it for a year. We usually guarantee rates for multiple years. We don't have any clients we just have for a year. We have clients that have been with us for 15 to 20, 25 years and continue to stay with us, and because we bring the value and the service that's needed.
Do you see one particular type of employer, maybe an industry that they're in, healthcare or manufacturing, that have more of a need with their employee base than others?
In my opinion, whether you're working for a manufacturer or a healthcare industry or a pharma, if you have a legal issue and you're dealing with that, you need to deal with it regardless of where you work. That being said, we have a lot of nonprofit clients, we have a lot of healthcare clients, we have a lot of pharma clients, we do have manufacturing clients, we have a lot of nonprofit clients. So just where our business has led us, but it can fit into any type of environment.
Perfect. So rule of thumb is if you're an employer and you have employees, you definitely want to offer a legal program. I think you should pay for it. I'm sure Len's not going to argue that point either. Unfortunately, we are out of time. Len, I thank you for coming on the show. I want to have you back. Maybe we can talk about legal issues that employees have and how they can use your services through your network.
Terrific.
But if you can provide the audience with your contact information in case anybody has any questions, that'd be great.
Sure. So if you want to reach us at Countrywide Prepaid Legal Services, you can reach us at 1-800-550-LAWS. 1-800-550-LAWS. www.countrywidepps.com.
Awesome. Well, Len, we're out of time again.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. It's been way too long since we caught up. Appreciate your time today.
Yes.
Just remember, if you have the opportunity, please pay it forward. We're here with Len Feltoon, president of Countrywide Prepaid Legal, and we'll see you next week on We Got You Covered. Have a great weekend.